The special edition of AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen 2021 has just passed us by, and for the first time in a year, I'm going to be reviewing an episode of AEW Dynamite right here on this YouTube channel. But before we talk about Dynamite, make sure you do me a favor, smash the like button so that way algorithm pushes this out to more people, share the video, comment for some engagement, and let's talk about Dynamite. Now, I have to bear in mind here that with everything going on with AEW and, the copyright strikes and claims they dealt out to other content creators, I have not been one of them who actually received one. I'm going to try and lay low with how much content I use up there, so I won't be using any videos. I may use a picture image here and there to really show what I'm doing, but it's really just going to be me throughout this review. I may go about using videos later on, but I just want to play it safe right now and just see how this review goes. If it does really well, and I hope it does really well, we'll may do more of them in the future, but this is more of a test run more than anything. So we started off the show with the Elites, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers versus the Dark Order, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Hangman Adam Page in a 10-man elimination tag match. I for sure thought this was going to be the main event of the show, but it opened up the show, which was a pleasant surprise, and the fans were in it throughout the entire thing. Let me just say, the North Carolina crowd was probably one of the best crowds AEW's had so far. They were electric and loud just about really all the show. There might be some dead points in there, but not this match. This match was not a dead point. The crowd was basically hyped throughout the entire thing. The entrances were something else. So the Hangman Page and the Dark Order came out, and they had this like promo package leading into it. It was like this, I got this feel of like I was watching Westworld. Like it felt like I was watching the introduction to like a hardcore cowboy movie or something. It was very cool seeing the Dark Order like in this room, and then their shadow cast that showed the cowboy. It was really cool. And then they all, appeared on the ramp. It was a very like big show entrance for the Dark Order, and it made me get the sense of like this is the real deal. Like that entrance alone, if it didn't get you invested in this team, I don't know what was going to. I love the hell out of this entrance. Hangman Page being dressed in Dark Order colors, and the fact that the title screen, what is it called? The ribbon that has the wrestlers' names on it. It didn't say Hangman Page in Dark Order. It just said the Dark Order. So I don't know if this is confirmation that Hangman Page is officially a member of the Dark Order now, because in previous weeks it's just been Hangman Page in the Dark Order. Now it's just the Dark Order. And in commentary, they didn't really say he was joining them. They keep on saying he's teaming with them. I really wish they would just establish that if he is a part of the Dark Order, or if I think right now it's just this friend stage, like he's not officially joining them, and I don't really think he needs to join the Dark Order, but I really wish they would just establish what the role is with these two teams, with these two parties, and stop beating around the bush and just, oh, well, maybe. It's like, let's just say he is it or is not part of the Dark Order. I guess if they said he wasn't, then that might cause some issues between them. I don't know why they don't just outright say it, but I don't know. It's a tiny nitpick of mine, but I like the entrance. Then we had the Elite's entrance, which I saw pissed some people off because they came out dressed like basketball players and to the tune of, dun 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 dun. They play it every basketball game. I don't know the name of the song, but it's a very old, basketball song. And basically they were doing a promotional for the movie Space Jam, the movie that's starring LeBron James in the role that Michael Jordan was in like 25 years ago, whatever. And, they were basically plugging that movie. And this is the part where I think people are like pissed for the wrong reason. Like they're pissed like, oh my God, this is ruining the value of the Elite. They're dressing out on basketball players and that. It's like, y'all do realize like this is part of like the deal that AEW has with TNT, is that they're supposed to help promote things for the rest of TNT. Like I know people remember like, oh, this is a wrestling show, but this is a wrestling show on a premier primetime television channel. Monday Night Raw does the same thing. SmackDown does the same thing. So AEW, time to time, they're going to do it. I recall in 2019, I think it was one of their first shows. I think it was the Best Friends. They came out dressed as Rick and Morty. I remember that episode very, very distinctly. So we have this episode where they're dressed up as basketball players from the Space Jam. Now, mind you, they were very bad at dribbling. I thought I saw Nick and Matt make a two-pointer, then Kenny missed intentionally. But I thought the entrance did not insult me. I honestly thought I chuckled some. I thought it was kind of funny, especially considering the fact that the Elites are like, I don't want to say they're goofy characters, but the way their gimmicks are portrayed, it's like they could pull this off. And I don't think anyone should be doubting them. Now, if we're talking babyface Elite, then it's okay, that's cheesy, they shouldn't be doing that. But if we talk heel Elites, especially the Elite where the Young Bucks dress as fucking shower curtains every other week, this is barely insulting. I think this makes a lot of sense for them to do something like this. So I was not insulted by it. I thought it was actually kind of funny. The match itself, I enjoyed the hell out of this match. I loved it a lot. I'm not going to go through the first few crop of eliminations. Just know the Dark Order, for the most part, was out of the match, and the Good Brothers got eliminated in some points as well. I think one point I want to highlight in here is Stu Grayson. I think he was doing he was running wild in this match. This is definitely a very big, I want to say, coming out party for a lot of people who may not know just how great he was, because he was doing dives, he was having hot tags, he was going all over the place up until he got eliminated. The one spot I want to talk about was when he did a dive, a springboard dive from inside the ring onto the outside and everybody. He did that like tornillo twisting, which is a really cool like tornillo move. He did it, but like nobody caught him, and he just kind of splattered on the mat, and it seemed like for a second he might be eliminated, like, you know, by count or whatever, but he got up, he was still battling it out. I don't know if maybe they were calling an audible or whatever the case may be. That's what I thought was happening. But then he and Doc Gallows were battling it out into the crowd, and then Stu Grayson went to like in the crowd and jumped off the terrace, and I'm like, well, if they were calling an audible, why would he go to the top of a terrace and dive off it? Like, that's very Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara vibes there. So he did that dive, and then it got counted out anyway, so I thought that was kind of weird. But like I said, maybe they called. I don't know why. I don't know what happened there. That was kind of a weird elimination. You had some mixed in with Doc Gallows and the rest of the Dark Order. John Stewart was the last member of the Dark Order to be eliminated by Kenny Omega with the One-Winged Angel. So then it came down eventually to Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, which obviously was the best choice to go with for like a final four or whatever, is to have Hangman Page go up against his three former friends. And just seeing that 3-on-1 handicap scenario where Hangman Page had to fight on, and it's not even just that 3-on-1 where he has to pin one person, he has to eliminate all three of them. So in my head I'm thinking, I'm trying to envision Hangman Page pinning Kenny, Matt, and Nick. Like, is he going to pin all three of them? Because I think that would be too big of an, I don't want to say endorsement. It would be too, I think it would be putting him over way too heavy if he pinned all three of them in this one match leading into his championship match to Kenny. I think that would be too much. So it's like maybe they do Kenny gets count out loss and then he pins both the Young Bucks, but I'm like, even then he's doing too much pinning both champions. It's like, how are they going to do this? Because in my head, I'm thinking Heyman Page is going to win, because the stipulation is if the Hangman Page and the Dark Order win, they get the respective championship matches. So in my head, I'm thinking he's going to win. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but he's going to win. So he ends up hitting a double, what's it called? The buckshot lariat onto the Bucks and eliminates Matt Jackson. I'm like, okay, now we're down to two. It's Nick and Kenny. So they're going at each other, whoop, 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 and freaking, oh my... Jim Ross! I'm trying to catch myself here, because Jim Ross, I swear, I love the guy to death, and I swear to God, Jim Ross, he was great. Those days are long gone now, and I feel like every week is just something different with him. And I know it's his old age and, you know, cerebral palsy and everything, but like it's every week. So this week, Hangman Page goes for, I want to say he was going for a buckshot onto Kenny. And I want to say that he hit it or something along those lines. He hit something. No, he hit a dead eye onto Kenny, and he went for the pin. And Kenny Omega obviously kicked out at 2. The crowd saw it, the referee saw it, but somehow Jim Ross didn't see this. And like 2 seconds later, he's like, Heyman Page just pinned the AEW World Champion. I'm like, no, he didn't. Who are you for? I'm like, How did you not see him kick out? How did you not hear, like, you didn't hear the bell, you didn't see the referee signal, like, how did you gain Kenny Omega getting pinned from that situation? It mind boggles me sometimes. Mind boggles me. But despite all that, there was some more distraction from Nick Jackson in here. I thought he was going to get eliminated next, and it would come down to Kenny and Hangman. but he distracted Hangman Page referee. Kenny Omega came in, hit Hangman Page with the AEW World Championship, and then he went for the pin, and Hangman kicked out again. Hangman kicked out quite a few times in this match, really showing his resiliency. I like that a lot. Kenny Omega got right up, hit him with 2 V-triggers back-to-back, a one-winged angel, and got the pin. Kenny Omega and Nick Jackson, the sole survivors of this Survivor Series-esque match on AEW. This was basically, I would say, the first Survivor Series-esque match in AEW, and I thoroughly enjoyed this elimination tag team match. I don't know how they're going to go about this story, because if Hangman won, he was going to challenge, and if he didn't, he wouldn't. So it's like, well, how are we going to get from point A to point B with All Out being around the corner? I mean, it's not all around the corner, but it's a month away. Like, All Out is literally next month is September. So how are we going to get from point A to point B in the next 4 weeks without kind of making this match seem like it was kind of useless? Like, is he going to put his career on the line? Is he going to put something else on the line? Like, what is... Hangman Page would probably have to sacrifice something to get a championship match. At least that's how I would do it if he already lost his opportunity, because this was his opportunity to get it, and he did not get it done. Unless they're going to prolong it. And I'll talk a little bit later about why they may be prolonging it. But overall, I enjoyed the hell out of this match. After that match, we had Alex Marvez in a backstage segment with Pac. And Pac was by himself. He was supposed to be with Death Triangle. But, you know, Alex Marvez is like, well, where's Death Triangle? And Pac's like, yeah, they were supposed to be on their way, but someone canceled their commission to the arena, and he was alluding to it being Chavo and Andrade. Then they come into scene. That was their cue. And Chavo's like, oh, yeah, well, I don't know what happened, but I called your boys limousine. And, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely seems like we're turning towards the Lucha Bros turning on Pac, which would be kind of a shame, because I feel like the Death Triangle has so much potential, and I say that as if like they're a new faction, but it feels like they haven't really had the chance to really flourish as a faction. Like, yes, when they started off, they were cool or whatnot, but then COVID hit, and then Pac was gone. So it's like when Pac left, it was just the Lucha Bros, and then they teamed up with Eddie for a while. Then Pac came back, and it was just kind of this circle between them teaming with Eddie and them teaming with Pac, and then individual teams between Pac and Penta and Phoenix and Penta and Eddie and Penta and Pac. It was it was the mix of like 2 different things going on, and I'm like, I'm not getting this key focus around these 3 guys. Like, as a faction, they really have not done much together as a trio. As a tag team, individually mixed between those 4 guys, yeah, they cool, but like as a 3 of Pac, Penta, Phoenix, not so much. So I'm like, I kind of want some more of these guys, and it seems like we're heading away from that direction. I mean, if we're building to Andrade versus Pac, fucking great. I can't wait for that match. I'm assuming they're going to do that All Out, and that would be ideal. But if it means that we're going to lose Pac, Penta, and Phoenix, I mean, you know, Pac, Penta, and Phoenix, it's going to be kind of disappointing. I would love to see Penta and Phoenix and Andrade together, but it's at the sacrifice of Death Triangle, so I'm a little shaky on that one. But that was a segment. A Pretty Ricky Starks then came out to do his title celebration. This was the most Monday Night Raw segment AEW has put on in quite some time. Ricky Starks comes out with flowers. There's a band playing for him. He gets into the ring. He starts speaking. There must have been some mic issues, because the crowd started chanting "We Can't Hear," and Ricky was like calling them inbred. And it wasn't bad. Like, honestly and truly, I cannot say this promo was bad, because it wasn't. Out there, a lot of people probably thought this was a great promo and a great segment, but as somebody who has watched Raw for I don't watch it anymore, but who watched Raw for many years and saw them do the same formulaic promo segment, it's like, when I saw this, I thought of Raw, and my brain almost kind of tuned out, because I'm like, I really don't want to see these type of segments on AEW, and they do it so rarely that it didn't bug me. Like, it's not like, I detest it, because they don't do it often. But I could obviously tell this was a segment that they could have easily never had, and the show would have not been effective if it never happened. They could have easily done this segment backstage without the band, with the celebration, gave it 3 minutes, had Brian Cage come out, which he did. Brian Cage come out, chase him down, and then boom, end the segment. But I felt like this really did not need to happen. It's kind of where I come at it from. We got the ace of the universe, Hiroshi Tanahashi, was on this show as well, and he wasn't on the show in that magnitude. He was on the show via video, basically saying that he's next in line to challenge for the IWGP United States Championship, and he didn't say when or where, which I was a little bit like, probably not in AEW, but I was excited to see the ace on Dynamite for the second time. It seems like the New Japan AEW relationship is stronger than ever. If COVID were not running rampant in Japan, I believe Tanahashi and, probably would have been in AEW. I think Tanahashi is facing Lance Archer in the States in August. My hoping, and this is kind of really like, I'm saying not serious, obviously, and this is a bias, but hopefully if we go into Lockdown Part 2, this will happen before Tanahashi's match and after he already landed in America, so that way he'll be stuck in the States and then he could come to AEW and kill some time until he gets to go back to Japan. That's just me not hoping that happens, but it's a scenario that could happen realistically. It could happen. Anyway, so after that we then got FTR versus Santana and Ortiz tag team match. I was extremely amped for this match because these two teams are super talented, almost two different styles. They were going to clash so well together, and this was on the cusp to being a really good match. It was paced very well, but then we got 10 minutes in and an injury occurred and the match got cut very short. I felt like it got cut short right around the time where it was going to start, picking up and getting into that third act. And I want to say the spot happened where Cash Wheeler was on the top rope battling it out with Santana, and he fell on the top rope, and it didn't seem like anything major because it looked like he fell and he bumped his arm on the rope. Like, how they try to cushion their fall, they put the arm down. He put his arm down on the turnbuckle, but I guess, I don't know if something must have cut him, because if you watch the video, watch the match back, you can see at his arm there's this big red mark, and then he immediately looks at it and starts hutting it. So obviously he must have cut deep for him to stop, because he legitimately looked at his arm, stopped, walked to the doctor's area and got evaluated. So obviously it must have took a chunk out of his skin if it was that bad. The match basically from that point, you can see Ortiz and I almost got his name mixed up, Dax Harwood. They were in the ring. They were kind of talking to each other oh, bro, what are we going to do? They were trying to be subtle about it, but you could obviously tell they're trying to communicate what they're going to do next. And then right after the fact, 30 seconds later, Dash, I always want to call him Dash, Dax Harwood hits the brainbuster onto Ortiz and gets the pin for his team. Like I said, the match ended very abruptly, but it was because of an injury. Right after the fact, Dax rolled out of the ring and went straight over to Cash Wheeler, and you could see there's this puddle of blood underneath his arm. Doctors are surrounding him. He really cut himself really badly, and it's upsetting because I knew the match was going to be possibly great match of the night, but they didn't get a chance to have one. Hopefully Cash Wheeler's okay so we can get a rematch very soon. My hoping is that he'll be ready in 1 month. They can have the rematch at All Out, because honestly and truly this was a match I would have held out to a pay-per-view for, but could have been a two-parter. This match is officially won by FTR, and I feel like we kind of got cheated out of it, but like I said, not their fault that Cash got injured. I just feel like to kind of give the fans what they were looking for. All Out in 1 month. That's the best time to do a rematch. Then came the big announcement about the next AEW live event. So they were teasing that Tony Khan has an announcement, but then it was Tony Schiavone. They obviously spelled Schiavone's last name wrong, which, honestly and truly for the best, because Tony Khan on microphone is... But... Tony Schiavone was on the rant talking about the, new announcement. They're having a new event, AEW Rampage, the first dance, which is going to be emanating live on August 20th, the second ever Rampage, from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And oh my God, I was on cloud nine when I first saw this, because I'm like, there is no way that they are coming to Chicago 2 weeks before because think about it, they're doing All Out in Chicago, the Rampage prior to All Out they're in Chicago, and a Dynamite prior to Rampage they're in Chicago. They're in Chicago for 3 shows. why would they be going to Chicago 2 weeks before they go to Chicago 3 different times? I know AEW loves Chicago, and that's basically their second partner in crime, but there's no reason outside of having a big person show up to that show. And we all know who that person is. It's obviously CM Punk. A week or two ago when these rumors were happening, I didn't believe it. I did not believe it. I'm like, you know what? CM Punk's been talking. People been talking about this for years. I'll believe it when I see it. I was under the boat. I'll believe it when I see it. But when I saw this and I thought to myself, why would they go to Chicago 2 weeks early when they're already doing a Chicago tour? I'm like, and then we got the next segment, which basically all but confirmed everything. So we cut right to Darby Allin and Sting backstage because, Darby Allin has to have his father beside him at all times. Got to be supervise him, So Darby Allin's on he's cutting his promo, and I'm looking at my notes here. And Darby basically states that he'll be in Chicago, assuming Rampage, and he's been with a lot of men. He's been... I mean, be who you are, Darby. He's been around a lot of men, making claims that they're the greatest, and AEW is one place to prove it. And then, quote, he says, even if you think you're the best in the world. The crowd just started going crazy. Like, you can hear the crowd react. They're going crazy because, like, he said the best in the world to CM Punk. I am the best in the world. They are heavily hinting this is happening. The fact that Darby said he'll be in Chicago and Darby was the one to do this segment indicates to me that CM Punk is going to show up on Rampage, and it looks like he's probably going to challenge Darby at All Out, which... You know what? It's probably smart on their end to have CM Punk show up early because here's the thing. COVID-19 is starting to really ramp up in really all over the place with the Delta variant and all of that. So they probably thought it's a better idea to debut CM Punk in front of a crowd earlier in the event we have to cancel some of these shows. That way we got our crowd pop and CM Punk can go about his business and people won't have to be like, oh, but it should have been in front of a crowd. Because, people cry about, being in front of crowds and shit. So we get our crowd reactions, and worst comes to worst, the show has to have crowds dialed back. The very worst case scenario gets canceled. We at least have CM Punk return in front of crowds. So it makes sense. CM Punk versus Darby Allin sounds like a great program. I think it is incredibly awesome that they are really putting so much handle on Darby to really carry. Think about it. Darby's main evented 4 Dynamites, 4 Dynamites with 1 million viewers. He's main evented way more Dynamites than that. He was TNT champion for quite a while. He defeated Cody Rhodes to do it. And now he's going to be facing CM Punk, it looks like, in his first match back, supposedly. I'm just saying, despite his size, Darby Allin should be in the running for AEW Championship by 2022. Just by the way they keep, he is the guy I feel like they push him without putting him in the main event scene. It's incredible to me. I think he is due for an AEW Championship match sometime latter 2021, early 2022, and he should be winning it probably within the next 2 years because Darby Allin, he is that guy, and I feel like that round of trust they have in him, it solidifies that. After that, we got Lance Archer versus Hikuleo for the IWGP United States Championship. This was aggressively okay. Nothing really special happened, and the most special thing about the match was the entrance of Hikuleo coming out to the Bullet Club theme song, the OG Bullet Club theme song, and out behind him came, I want to say, King Haku's his father, maybe? King Haku, and a crowd popped pretty big for King Haku, which is pretty cool. Hikuleo in the ring, he's nothing special, and for that reason alone, I didn't expect this match to be very good. And like I said, it wasn't bad, it just was okay. If this match is passable, you probably would skip this match any other day if you knew what the quality of it was. Lance Archer won with the blackouts. He retained the IWGP United States Championship, was solidified. We'll be getting Lance Archer versus Hiroshi Tanahashi at the LA Renaissance show, NJPW Strong, next month in August. My hoping is that Tanahashi beats Lance Archer. I know, but Tyler, that's a 3-week wait. Listen, Hiroshi Tanahashi as the IWGP United States Championship, champion, means we're likely to get him in AEW a lot faster. Because think about it this way. This is the 3rd U.S. Championship defense on Dynamite, if I'm correct. If it's not the 3rd, it's the 2nd. That's more defenses than New Japan has defended their title on their own. New Japan has only had 2 U.S. Championship defenses. AEW's now have 3. It seems more and more like this is the new NWA Women's Championship where they're having that cross-promotional title defense on Dynamite. And if that's the case with the U.S. Championship, Tanahashi as the U.S. Champion means we could get Tanahashi on AEW a lot quicker. So I'm hoping he beats Lance Archer. Sorry to say Lance Archer, but I hope Days beat you. After the match, they cut backstage to KK Cody Rhodes. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but you have the white man with blonde hair in a white suit every week going up against a guy dressed in black. And the thought just crosses my mind when I see Cody in all white. I'm sorry. By absolutely no means am I calling Cody Rhodes a racist. He obviously is not. I'm just saying when he wears all white, I know what he's trying to go for. He's trying to go for the whole angel versus demon vibe. And for the most part, that does come off that way, except for the fact that the crowd likes Malachi Black more. And that was obvious here when Cody Rhodes tries to start a promo off with so much is happening in our world. And I'm like, oh my fuck. I almost want to turn the channel. But Malachi Black saved us, and he saved Cody from saying some more dumb shit, I assume. He boots Cody Rhodes. They start battling it out. And the crowd, whenever Cody got some offense in, the crowd started booing, yes, the crowd is finally booing Cody. It took long enough. I hope that when the match happens next week at Daly's Place, they boo Cody then too, because Cody should be a heel. He should be turning heel. I'm tired of seeing him portray himself as the good guy when he's not. So hopefully this is a clear knock on the head to him that maybe I should be a bad guy. I'm hoping at least. But they battled out onto the stage, and Malachi Black beat him down, and he posed, and some guys came out to attend to Cody. He had a black mask on the Fuego del Sol, and that was a segment. They're really building up to next week's match between Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes, which should be really good. And my hoping is that Malachi Black wins that match. That's my hoping, though. We got a Miro promo, and he said that Lana's double jointed. That's really all you need to know about that promo. Following this, we had Christian Cage and Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus Angelico and Private Party. This was another okay match. It went like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Nothing really happened. Christian Cage went the frog splash on the Mark Quinn, and that was pretty much the end of it. After the match, the Blade knocked out Christian Cage with brass knuckles and went to pose a Matt Hardy. They're still continuing this Matt Hardy Christian Cage feud. I don't know why. I don't really care, and I really don't care for the Blade versus Christian Cage. It's like, people care about Christian Cage, but I feel like people don't care about what he's doing right now. I said it on my podcast yesterday. He's in this floating period where he's just kind of existing on Dynamite, and there's not much for him, but that's going to happen. And when CM Punk and Bryan Danielson come to AEW, a guy like Christian Cage is probably going to end up floating to the background very soon. That's when we have Rampage. So hopefully this feud ends very soon, and Christian Cage can do something else and something more, poignant. I'm hoping that's a feud with Jungle Boy. That will be more meaningful than this feud with Matt Hardy. We then got Thunder Rosa versus Julia Hart in a co-main. This was also okay. Thunder Rosa was showcasing her moves because she's now signed to AEW. I'm happy for her that she's actually full-time now. She beat Julia Hart with her driver, and that was really it. There's nothing to say about this match. But then we head into the main event of the show. Chris Jericho is going up against Nick Gage in a no rules match, the second labor of Jericho, put on by MJF, who was on commentary for this match. This match it's a mixed bag, honestly. Let me just start off by saying, I am not big on death matches. I enjoy them in small little doses. I will only tolerate death matches once in a blue moon a few times a year. I don't attend shows specifically for death matches. They just happen on shows that I attend, and I watch them. I just do not like a bunch of blood and a bunch of all that bull. That's not what I look for in wrestling, but I will watch it if it's presented to me and it's intriguing in some way. I will watch it. This was a match that was intriguing to me for the reason that we had Nick Gage, an ex-criminal, and a death match, really you could say death match legend, somebody who I never expected to see on national television for his uncensored nature, in a ring against Chris Jericho, a guy who's not really known for working that style at all. I half expected this match to be all Nick Gage taking the dangerous spots, but I'm surprised and happy to say that Chris Jericho took a lot of dangerous spots in this match. Now, let me just say, the first portion of this match sucked ass. The first portion just it was almost dying. Like I felt so awkward watching the first half because I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about Nick Gage because he might kill me, but Nick Gage is just not a good wrestler. Like, he's a great deathmatch wrestler, but in terms of a wrestler, like just basic wrestling, in-ring mat work, that's not him. That's not his prowess. That's not what he is meant to do. Because when he was in here trying to go at Chris Jericho, he was super stiff. I mean, like, this guy, and I can tell it was obviously from damage in his body in previous death matches, but like the kickouts were very like just very stiff. The way he was walking, like he would walk straight ahead, and it was menacing at first, but then he kind of just kept doing it, where rather than doing heat spots where he would, like, you know, flip off the crowd or whatever, or curse or whatever, he would just start walking straight, looking at nothing, looking for a weapon. And this happened so many times, it just got really awkward. Because, like, it's like, what are you doing? What do you, just attack, do something, attack him. And then when he did attack him and Jericho fought back, it's like, just grab the weapons, please. I don't know what you guys are doing. Then they got the weapons, and the match really just flipped into 180. He grabbed the light tube, and I popped huge. The crowd popped huge because I was wondering, are they actually going to use light tubes in this match? That's a staple in deathmatch wrestling, but will TNT allow light tubes? And this might have been the first time that I've ever seen a light tube used on national, like, wrestling television, because I don't ever remember a light tube being used on WWE television. So AEW is really starting to trend here on TV. Let's see if WWE follows back with that. So AEW, they're the first to do it. They're the first, not the first ever, because GCW and ECW, but they're the first to do it on national TV, so big ups to AEW. Busted out a light tube. The very start of the match, he actually cut Chris Jericho on the arm with a pizza cutter, and he started cutting into Chris Jericho's forehead with the pizza cutter. And funny enough, during a commercial break, while he's cutting Chris Jericho, a Domino's commercial shows up with a pizza cutter slicing pizza. It was probably the funniest gag I've ever seen. Quite the rib. I hope that was a rib. If not a rib, that's even funnier. But it just turned into a bloody mess, but in a good way. If you like deathmatch wrestling, you love the hell out of this. If you don't like deathmatch wrestling, you hated this. You probably fall either one, two sides of the fence. This did not insult me. I was not upset about what I saw because I knew what I was getting into when we saw Nick Gage on the show, and all of you should have as well. We saw a glass. Nick Gage got put through the glass, and I think even Chris Jericho took a pile driver on the glass. The only I'd say nitpick I had was that Chris Jericho took a lot of the abuse, and he kicked out of a lot of moves that I felt like he really shouldn't have. Like the pile driver on the glass, I felt like that's not a move you kick out of, and Chris Jericho did. And he was very resilient. The end of the match came when Nick Gage grabbed the bundle of light tubes, like 4 light tubes taped together. He grabbed the bundle and went to go hit Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho spit poison mist into the face of Nick Gage, which was very uncharacteristic of Chris Jericho to do. But I'm like, what else was he going to counter it with? I guess a low blow, but he's not a heel. I don't know. He spits mist in the face of Nick Gage and busts open the light tubes over Nick Gage's head, hits a Judas effect, and then pins Nick Gage to win the match. So Nick Gage takes the L here. Probably the last time we'll see him on the AEW television, but what a hurrah for the guy. Good for him. After the match, MJF hopped on the microphone and he was talking about how, oh, well, you know, you might have beaten Nick Gage, but you're not going to beat the third labor. The stipulation for that match being that Chris Jericho must win with a top rope move. That could be an elbow drop or a body splash, which would be funny if Chris Jericho did any of those 2 moves and not something like a 450 or whatever, which I'm not expecting because he's 50. But he's got to win with the top rope move, and his opponent went a long way back to when they had one of their first segments in AEW back in 2019, when Chris Jericho basically said that MJF's parents got horny during his match with Juventud Guerrero 25 years ago, and his twerp ass popped out, and MJF was like, who the hell is Hoovy? And Jericho's like, Google it, kid. And MJF 2 years later is like, well, I Googled him, and your opponent next week is Juventud Guerrero, and the crowd went pretty crazy for it. Hoovy versus Jericho should be really fun. I know they're much older, but that should be a really cool match. Dynamite overall, once again, they are just on a roll right now. 4 straight weeks of really good shows, even great shows mixed in here. I would say of the July shows, I would say my favorite was definitely the last week's show. This might be my second favorite, if not my third favorite, but even then, all of these July shows were great. They're on a roll. They're going to keep the ball rolling in August, I'm sure. Next week, Malachi Black and Cody. The week after is the big week leading into the first Rampage, and then the week after is the humongous week with the second Rampage in Chicago. There's so much going on with AEW right now. I just hope COVID doesn't fuck things up for them again. Let's just pray and hope it does not. But this show overall, I would rate it a solid 8 out of 10. I'd recommend you guys check it out in your downtime. It was definitely a really good show. And that was my review of AEW Fight for Fallen 2021. What did you guys think? Comment down below. Let your boy know. I love you as always, and I will see you all next time. Let's get this video to let's do 50 likes, and we'll consider another AEW Dynamite review. Peace out, guys.